The King's Avatar, Chapter 1617 to a 1v3. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1617, 1v3. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. Zhang Boteo's empty waves stepped on the trash that he had just struck down with ghosts in pursuit of Lord Grimm. Sun Zhang's one autumn leaf continued forward, hoping to pincer Lord Grimm with Zhang Boteo's empty waves. At the same time, Jozekai's cloud piercer continued to head over from atop the trash piles. Despite having the higher ground, he couldn't see any sign of Lord Grimm. Yishu had used Fang Rui's shameless crouching position to move and prevent Jozekai seeing him from above. However, this map was still Samsara's map. Though they might not be able to see Lord Grimm, the three from Samsara had an idea of where he was heading from the direction he had run in. Zhang Boteo on the left, Sun Shang on the right, and Jozekai above. Samsara wasn't just doing a pincer from two sides, but closing in from three different directions. Here, Zhang Boteo and Sun Shang had the same thought as the two's characters closed in at the same pace. Once they both got to the corner, they glanced over at Cloud Piercer above. Great! Cloud Piercer had managed to keep up with their pace as well, taking the high ground and surrounding Lord Grimm from three sides. Earth Wave / Tyrant's Destruction. One swung out from Empty Wave's short sword Divine Chain, while the other swept from one Autumn Leaf's spear Evil Annihilation forwards. As soon as Empty Waves and one Autumn Leaf charged out from this corner, they were already using their attacks to defend themselves and guard against the possibility of Yishu lying in wait to ambush them. However, the two had overthought things. Yishu's Lord Grimm wasn't there, waiting in ambush. Instead, he continued forward, crouched. That was when one Autumn Leaf's Tyrant's Destruction swept out, blocking his path. Turning around, he saw Empty Wave's Earthquake sword fly at him, sending trash flying. Above came the sound of Cloud Piercer landing on the trash heap. Lord Grimm jumped back. After dodging the Earthquake sword and twisting his body as he did so, Lord Grimm attempted to climb up the trash heap behind him. However, Zhang Boteo had been anticipating this. Empty Wave's Divine Chain flicked up, and a light wave sword cut off Lord Grimm's plan before he had a chance to enact it. Sun Zhang's one Autumn Leaf was already approaching and saw Lord Grimm rapidly form hand seals. Shadow Clone Technique. Sun Shang immediately thought. One Autumn Leaf stopped his approach, quickly turning to look around. No one was there. He quickly turned back, but there was still no one there. What on earth? Sun Shang was shocked, but then heard a noise from above. Underground tunneling technique. Yishu had actually made Lord Grimm use a different ninja technique, burrowing underground. Yet when he reappeared, he had surprisingly done so at the top of the trash heap. Jozekai's position hadn't given him a good enough view to see Lord Grimm, so he didn't know what the other was doing. Lord Grimm erupted from the trash heap right in front of him, ninjutsu striking. Luckily, while Jozekai didn't know Lord Grimm's exact position from above, Yishu wasn't certain of Cloud Piercer's position either. His underground tunneling technique had sent him right in front of Cloud Piercer, and a little ways away as well. This gave Jozekai enough time to react. Cloud Piercer quickly jumped back, dodging Lord Grimm's imperfect strike. His dual revolvers glinted in the light, shattered frost and wildfire, their mouths dark before gunfire sprung from them as one. Bang bang bang. Bullets flew. With only 2 steps between them, they were certain to hit. Lord Grimm was shot, but no blood appeared, his form suddenly dissolving like a broken shadow. Shadow Clone Technique. Whoosh. A swift sound flickered past Cloud Piercer's neck, drawing a splash of blood. Cutthroat. Lord Grimm had used Shadow Clone Technique to dart behind Cloud Piercer, striking swift. Next, the myriad manifestations umbrella folded into 2 parts, turning into tonfas. With a grab, he caught Cloud Piercer, and then threw him forward using fling. It had all happened in a split second. It was like Lord Grim had been pincered by empty waves in one autumn leaf the previous second, and in the next, he had appeared on top of the trash heap, darted behind Cloud Piercer, and thrown him out, blood still dripping from his neck. So fast. There was no other word for it but fast. It was like lightning, and it felt like chopping up. The word fast was the only way to really give it a description worthy of that speed. If it didn't reach that speed, how could it catch even Joe Zakai? Zhang Boteo and Sun Shang only just heard the noise above, about to investigate, when they saw Cloud Piercer thrown off. But it clearly wasn't the time for greetings. The two didn't need to think or discuss. They each took a path, one left, the other right, heading up the trash heap in pursuit. But just as Sun Zhang's one autumn leaf's head peeked out, he saw a grenade land in front of his eyes. There was no time to think. Sun Shang subconsciously flicked his mouse. One autumn leaf's spear stabbed forward right towards the grenade. Boom. In the rush, he wasn't able to control the force of this stab very well, but the grenade still exploded and it counted as a parry. The explosive force didn't throw him back, so one autumn leaf aimed to leap up again. But who would have thought that while the explosion didn't affect one autumn leaf directly, it did blast away the trash he wanted to land on. With that foothold gone, turned into a pit by the grenade, one autumn leaf's jump failed and his form plummeted again. Sun Shang over here just seemed a little silly, but Zhang Boteo over there was the one in trouble. As soon as empty waves peeked out, he saw the myriad manifestations umbrella descend down onto him, like a meteorite. Starfall. An exorcist skill, one Zhang Boteo obviously knew the priority of. In that moment, he had given up in his heart. An airborne character didn't have that much freedom. Zhang Boteo hurriedly had empty waves guard. Starfall slammed him straight down, and he didn't have any footholds in reach. Joe Zakai, Zhang Boteo and Sun Shang, three of the Glory Scene's top 10 players, had all been thrown off the trash pile by Yishu in a 1v3. Though it was only a few moments, though it was clear how Yishu had taken advantage of the situation, this scene was etched into people's minds. The commentators Pan Lin and Li Yibo didn't know how to comment on this scene. Yishu's thought process and methodology were simple. Even a normal player in the same situation could think of such a tactic. However, the problem was that the opponents Yishu was facing were Joe Zakai, Zhang Boteo and Sun Shang. Three top players. It was easier thought of than done. Yet Yishu had done it, so the entire venue went silent, and even the TV broadcast lacked the voices of the commentators. Everyone watched, lost for words, as Lord Grim turned and left. In the end, he didn't dare face the three head-on. However, the small victory was already miraculous. Before, the other pros had all thought that a 1v3 was sure to get rid of Lord Grim. If they couldn't, then that would just be plain embarrassing. But in this moment, they all fell silent, too. After putting themselves in Samsara's shoes for a moment, they all felt that, in that moment, Yishu was unstoppable. The three on the field couldn't stop him, they couldn't stop either, and neither could anyone on this earth. Fuck. All these thoughts and words whirling around in their minds ended up expressed as one single short curse. It was a sigh, a shock, but more than that, it was admiration. They couldn't blame this on Samsara's three not being up to par, they could only blame this on their opponent being too strong. However, Samsara's three didn't plan on staying shocked and silent with the audience. Cloud Piercer, who had been thrown off the trash heap with a fling by Lord Grim, had been knocked down due to the grab's effect. However, after being knocked down, he got back up as quickly as was possible. Cloud Piercer's movements were also stunningly swift. To most, it was almost like he had been knocked down onto a trampoline before being immediately thrown back onto his feet. Fire. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. He activated rage firing, but used it for aerial fire. The stronger recoil shot Cloud Piercer onto the trash heap, his body already twisting in midair. Joe Zekai's control of the attack's recoil, his own jump, and whatnot was extremely precise. After leaping up with help from the recoil, he turned, landing right down onto the trash heap in front of him in one smooth motion. Bang bang bang. The gunshot sounds never stopped, and the bullets were already heading Lord Grimm's way. Yishu was shocked. He had never thought that it would cloud Piercer to recover and pursue him first, what with the forced knockdown. Joe Zekai's reaction speed was far beyond his expectations, and he wasn't far enough just yet for Lord Grimm to take cover. This trash heap was nowhere near as reliable as solid ground, and moving along it would sometimes cause your foot to sink in. It was a plague on movement speed. Rolling to avoid the hail of bullets, Yishu managed to return 2 shots. The dodged bullets lodged themselves into the trash heap, splashing bits of trash everywhere and sending them dancing around Lord Grimm. Bang bang bang. Clink clink clink. Cloud Piercer never stopped firing, but amidst this, there was a strange noise. Thwack. Lord Grimm's shoulder was hit by a bullet, much to Yishu's disbelief. He was certain he had dodged out of the path of Joe Zekai's bullets. The trash. Yishu quickly realized what was going on. Joe Zekai had actually used the trash that the bullets had thrown into the air, making his bullets collide with them to not only increase damage, but also to alter their paths slightly, making them unpredictable. In this time, Lord Grimm was hit thrice more. Twice by the flying trash and once by a bullet. His movement was slowed, and on the end of an attack like this, his rhythm was completely destroyed. With no other choice, he opened up the Myriad Manifestations umbrella. Thwack thwack thwack. Like pouring rain, bullets and trash bombarded the Myriad Manifestations umbrella's shield form. Yishu couldn't stay under the Myriad Manifestations umbrella's protection forever. With the Myriad Manifestations umbrella's current durability, it wouldn't be able to last for too long under Cloud Piercer's assault. Opening the umbrella merely gave him a chance to catch his breath. In the next moment, the umbrella closed and gunfire erupted from the tip. Gatling gun. A shootout. End chapter.
The King's Avatar. Chapter 1618. Unbelievable Control. Audio source. WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1618. Unbelievable Control. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. With just the Myriad Manifestations umbrella's rifle form, Lord Grimm couldn't hope to contend. Bullets swept across the ground, launching trash up into the air. Joe Zekai's Cloud Piercer moved to the side to dodge, but all he could see was trash flying around everywhere. The bullets chasing after him began colliding with the airborne trash as well, making it difficult for Joe Zekai to figure out their trajectories. He could only do what Yishu did before, keep Cloud Piercer moving and try to get as far away as possible from the chaos. The two fired at each other, getting hit by each other's attacks. Blood, bullets, trash. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one had expected to see another fierce confrontation between these two right after a brilliant match between these two in the group arena. Gun Fu. This was Joe Zekai's famed Gun Fu, but Yishu wasn't losing to him. The two were even. The broadcast provided a slow-mo of the battle for everyone to enjoy. With the speed slowed down, the viewers could see how the bullets were bouncing off the trash, allowing them to realize that there was another layer to the fight. This is delivery gun. Quote, after watching the slow-mo, Pan Lin was able to see everything clearly, but he wasn't certain what exactly he was seeing. This is. Li Yibo's voice was filled with uncertainty as well because she had never seen anything like this before. Delivery gun was a technique where the gunner used the knockback from bullets to send the target to the desired location. Joe Zekai had once used delivery gun to juggle a character to death in the air as a part of an exhibition match. Even today, this play was still widely discussed. Of course, an exhibition match was completely different from a competitive match. Joe Zekai had never performed it in an official match. Oftentimes, delivery gun was used in the team competition to control where the target landed. By pairing it with the grabs from Lu Boyuan's grappler, it was a very powerful control tool. When talking about delivery guns, it was impossible not to mention Ye Xiu because he was the one who had developed the technique. Although to many people, it sounded more like a legend than a fact. Most people couldn't wrap their heads around how he could have developed delivery gun. From what they knew about him, he had always been a battle mage player. Nowadays, many of the glory players didn't know the history behind the technique. When they heard delivery guns, their first thought would be Josekai. Li Yibo had come from an older generation. How could he have forgotten that delivery gun had been Ye Xiu's innovation? He just wasn't sure if what he was seeing could be considered as delivery gun. He couldn't quite grasp it. I'm not sure if it's delivery guns, but what I can say for certain is that anyone who can do what they're doing has reached great heights with delivery gun. Li Yibo finally concluded. His words sounded evasive, but his reasoning wasn't without logic. To do what they were doing, their shots need to be extremely precise, and precision was a fundamental part of delivery gun. However, in contrast to the traditional definition of delivery guns, the two were not fixed on specific target. The two were aiming to hit the pieces of trash flying around. Perhaps this was just a form of delivery gun. Li Yibo had his own opinions on the matter, but he didn't say them. He had been taught a lesson by Ye Xiu far too many times. Josekai had slapped his face numerous times today too. He didn't dare say more than what he need to say. But Ye Xiu can't keep this up for long, no? Pan Lin asked. It's not that he can't, but his character can't, Li Yibo said. The only reason Lord Grimm could compete with Cloudpiercer in this firefight was because he was using Gatling gun. However, Gatling gun had a duration. It would eventually run out of bullets. Even if his character could keep this up, the circumstances won't permit to him to. Li Yibo added. He saw that Jiang Botao's empty waves and Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf had started moving. The two didn't rush towards the garbage heap again. Instead, they circled around to the left and right of Ye Xiu's retreat path. They knew that Lord Grimm wouldn't be able to keep this up forever. He would have to retreat sooner or later. One to the left, the other to the right. The two dashed along the outside of the garbage heap. Ye Xiu couldn't see them from up above, and the sound of gunfire covered their footsteps. The two quickly made their way behind Lord Grimm and were now heading towards him. Josekai's Cloudpiercer pressed harder. He had calculated that Lord Grimm's Gatling gun would be over soon. There were only a few bullets left. The Gatling gun suddenly stopped. Ye Xiu cancelled Gatling gun AEAD of time. His character jumped up and slashed out with his sword. Sword draw. Sword light swept towards the ground, leaving a clear mark. A circular arc in the shape of a crescent moon was carved into the garbage heap. Hua! The piled-up trash suddenly started sliding down like a rock slide. Jiang Botao's empty waves and Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf had rushed towards this area. The two of them saw Lord Grimm jumping from the garbage heap. Just when they were about to throw an attack at him, the garbage heap next to them collapsed, showering them with trash. The two struggled, but weren't able to stop the incoming flood of trash. In an instant, they were swallowed by the garbage, and Lord Grimm disappeared from their sights amidst this surging sea of trash. Sun Xiang and Jiang Botao both put out question marks in the team chat. They had lost sight of their target, and their characters were currently struggling to free themselves from the collapsed garbage heap. A third question mark soon followed. When Josekai's Cloudpiercer arrived, he didn't see Lord Grimm. He looked around but didn't see anyone. Bang 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 bang. Cloudpiercer immediately fired at the garbage heap that had collapsed, sending trash flying into the air. But he failed to dig out Lord Grimm. Jiang Botao's empty waves and Sun Xiang's one autumn leaf finally freed themselves from the prison of garbage and climbed out. It was a 3v1, yet they were losing. They had chosen this map, yet their opponent was giving them this much trouble. What was being injured wasn't their health, but their pride. As soon as one autumn leaf climbed out, he immediately leapt into the air, shattering the land. Sun Xiang vented, creating a huge explosion. Magic erupted, blasting the garbage heap apart. If Lord Grimm was hiding underneath it, his cover would be blown away. But he wasn't. The Samsara fans sent their regards to their three generals. WuxaWorldAudio.com. They had seen that the moment Yi Xiu's Lord Grimm toppled the garbage heap, he had run away with a shadow clone technique. With cover from the garbage heap, he was able to instantly vanish out of sight with the shadow clone technique. Lord Grimm's real body had slipped away, going around Cloudpiercer and towards the exit. Zhou Zekai, Sun Xiang, Jiang Botao. Three famous names, three top 10 all-stars, facing a single Yi Xiu, and all three of them had been duped. Yi Xiu hadn't truly been fighting against them. He had been doing everything he could to run away, but it was still a 1v3. Being able to escape was a huge success on his part. None of the three had taken much damage, but in everyone's eyes, they had been the losers. The more loyal the Samsara fan, the more deeply they felt this. The three continued with the same pace. One autumn leaf's shattering the lands had confirmed that Lord Grimm was no longer hiding there. Zhou Zekai's Cloudpiercer jumped onto the garbage heap up AEAD to see if he could find any traces of Lord Grimm. Jiang Botao and Sun Xiang then split up to the left and right, continuing their search. They had the advantage. No one need to remind them. They were very clear about it. Even though they hadn't succeeded yet, this was a fact that hadn't changed yet. However, they were taking longer than they thought, so they need to warn their other two teammates who hadn't arrived yet. Be careful of snipes. Jiang Botao warned. We've been careful. Fang Minghua replied. Fang Minghua and Liu Boyuan didn't receive any other info from the team. All they got were those 3 question marks. They could tell that things weren't going well on that side. According to their initial plan, no matter who it was unhappy, he or she would check the garbage disposal room. Zhou Zekai, Jiang Botao, and Sun Xiang should have been more than enough to deal with whoever that was. In this way, the other side would be forced either to rescue or trade for that person. They would first kill whoever was in the storeroom, and then go back and help Fang Minghua and Liu Boyuan. They felt that chances of success were quite high. Happy ended up only sending one person, Yi Xiu. However, after this much time, Yi Xiu still hadn't been caught by their 3 players. This became Yi Xiu stalling the 3 of them, which spelled trouble for Fang Minghua and Liu Boyuan. Thinking of this unfavorable possibility, Fang Minghua and Liu Boyuan had made adjustments long ago. They stopped going along the direct path that the other 3 went along, instead taking a roundabout route that couldn't be seen from up on the chimney. Su Mucheng didn't go for the high ground, but by circling around, they were able to avoid Happy's intercept. They circled around. Fang Rui judged based on the time, so he didn't continue searching. How's it going there? If you're still holding on, type 1. Fang Rui messaged, 11,111,111,111. Yi Xiu typed a line of 1s, showing that he was doing great. Wow, amazing. What are we even here for? Fang Rui replied. He was actually very shocked. That was Zhou Zekai, Jiang Botao, and Sun Xiang. Yi Zhu was just by himself, but he was doing so well that he could type that many ones. Even Yi Zhu's teammates found it hard to believe how well he was pinning the enemies down. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 16-19. Once in a Blue Moon. Audio source, wushaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 16-19. Once in a Blue Moon. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Zhouzekai, Jiang Botao, Sun Xiang. These three top players were being held down by a single person. It was inconceivable, and it also meant a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. You need to be aggressive facing these kinds of opportunities. If you missed it, wouldn't that be tragedy? Fang Rui was thinking about the pros and cons, when he saw Sumo Chung type out in the chat, "Scatter. That's my line." Fang Rui saw that Sumo Chung had come to the same conclusion. He no longer hesitated. Samsara didn't go along their original route, likely because Yi Zhu was holding down three of their players. Nevertheless, they would come across them at some point. No matter which route they took, their general direction would remain the same. However, Samsara had many options available to them. Searching through all of them with just three people might take too long. Narrowing down these options required intuition and courage. Samsara did not take the most direct route. That was a reality. What would they be thinking when making a choice? If they took a route that was too far, they would be too cut off from the others on the team. Both parties would have trouble helping each other. However, this choice would also prove the most troublesome for Happy. A simpler route wouldn't result in the team coming apart, but Happy would have a relatively easier time intercepting them. Which choice was Samsara more likely to take? Answering this question required careful thinking. If Happy took the wrong turn, there would be no room for regret. Checking nearby, Fang Rui was still trying to figure out what Samsara might be thinking, when Sumo Chung made the choice. Then, he saw Dancing Rain climb onto the roof of a nearby storeroom and check their surroundings. No one. As expected, Lu Boyuan and Fang Minghua didn't choose an overly conspicuous route. But by moving along the rooftops, Dancing Rain would be able to see more than the others, while also being at a convenient high point if a fight broke out. "Me left, you right," Fang Rui messaged. He went to the left while Qiao Yivan went to the right. They started inspecting what simpler route Samsara might have taken. But soon afterwards, Fang Rui saw Sumo Chung's Dancing Rain moving along the edges of the storeroom near him and waving her hands at him. Fang Ming understood her gesturing. She had already checked this area. Fang Rui could move farther to the left and expand their search area. Fang Rui had Boundless Sea immediately make adjustments. He moved farther to the left before moving on. "We have to be fast." All three of them had the same thought. Even though Yi Zhu had replied back confidently with numerous ones, he was certainly under a lot of pressure. It wasn't like they could hope that Yi Zhu could kill the three on Samsara on his own. They need to hurry and seize the opportunity that Yi Zhu had given them, so they could pull the carpet from under Samsara. This was what it meant to be an ace player. As Boundless Sea scouted AEAD, Fang Rui felt deeply moved by Yi Zhu. It was true that he was the highest paid player on Happy, using their strongest character. However, if he were in Yi Zhu's position, he felt rather terrified thinking that he could stall those three on Samsara by himself. He didn't have any confidence that he could do it. Yi Zhu was Happy's true ace player. There was never any doubt about that. Sumo Chung's firm decisions had touched Fang Rui as well. Although he had been thinking the same as Sumo Chung had been the one to make the call. This was a huge difference. This was a show of her confidence and her courage in taking risks. Fang Rui had lost to Sumo Chung in this aspect. Sure enough, my fate is to be a supporting character. Fang Rui sighed. Even though he didn't have any grand ambitions, every pro player longed to be the core of a team. Because of Fang Rui's playstyle, he was never suitable to be the symbol of a team, and he felt wronged by it. But through Ye Xiu and Su Mucheng, he realized that he wasn't suitable to be an ace player. His playstyle wasn't the only reason. It's okay though, I'm used to it. Fang Rui knew how to console himself and quickly discarded those thoughts. He had never cared much about it in the first place. He was just a bit sensitive after feeling unhappy about his performance in the playoffs. After discarding those useless thoughts, Fang Rui's focus quickly returned back to the match. Boundless Sea continued to move forward. He was currently between two storerooms. The entrances of the storeroom weren't on this side, so it was a rather narrow path. The storeroom to the right of him was longer than the storeroom to the left. He soon reached the end of the left storeroom and arrived at the beginning of a new storeroom. He was at a T-shaped intersection. He looked ahead, but didn't see anyone, so the left then. Fang Rui hesitated slightly, but he recalled the resolve that Su Mucheng had before and admonished himself. To the left. To the left it is. Boundless Sea took a left turn at the T intersection. He wasn't letting his emotions affect his decision. Fang Rui had estimated how fast their targets were moving. If they had continued forward, he should have seen them up ahead. However, they hadn't. Su Mucheng and Qiao Yivan hadn't found anything either. If he continued heading to the left, he would have a higher chance of finding Fang Minghua and Lu Boyuan. The path to the left was narrow. Only one person could fit through it at one time. As Boundless Sea ran along it, Fang Rui would look behind himself ever so often. During this process, Fang Rui inadvertently noticed that there was a window at a height of 3 meters, every few meters along the walls of the storeroom to his right. Fang Rui could sense that something wasn't right. These sort of details were difficult for away teams to notice ahead of time. By utilizing these windows, Samsara could check outside without needing to stand out in the open on top of the roof, making it much harder for Happy to find them. Fang Rui looked around again. The storeroom behind him and to his left weren't as tall as the one on his right. The view from those windows were quite good. At the very least, they would be able to see Dancing Rain jumping across rooftops. Then, what about his Boundless Sea? If Fang Minghua and Lu Boyuan were watching from those storerooms, they would have noticed his movements long ago. Thinking of this, Boundless Sea sped up. As an expert at ambushes, Fang Rui was aware of how dangerous his location was. He was in a long and narrow path that could only fit one person. The walls to his left and right were too tall for him to jump over. If he were pincered, he would be in a very bad situation. Not good. Not good. Samsara had chosen this map. The loading screen gave some information on the map though. For example, the locations of the support zones. Fang Rui's current location was quite close to the support zone at the center. If he were in Samsara's shoes, he would probably bang bang. WuxaWorldAudio.com. 2 gunshots. Fang Rui's thoughts were interrupted. The crowd burst into cheers. While Fang Rui was thinking about what his opponents would do, the viewers could see Lu Boyuan's and Fang Minghua's movements. They moved towards Fang Rui's area and then went into one of the storerooms. Then, they went to the windows. From these windows, they soon noticed Dancing Rain jumping across rooftops, looking for them. The two couldn't see Fang Rui's Boundless Sea because he was blocked by a storeroom. However, the two seemed to somehow know that Boundless Sea was heading towards them. Fang Minghua's laughing song ran over to the support zone and switched with Du Ming's moon luring frost. Samsara had 5 attackers on the field now. Then, Fang Rui arrived at the T-intersection. While he was figuring out which direction to go towards, the Samsara fans gripped their seats in the suspense. They knew that Lu Boyuan and Du Ming were hiding to the left, waiting to ambush him. But what if Fang Rui didn't go left? Fang Rui's boundless sea ended up going to the left. Their hopes were fulfilled. Bang bang. 2 windows were broken. Lu Boyuan's chaotic cloudy mountain and Du Ming's moon luring frost each broke through a window and jumped down. Their ambush had begun. Samsara's fans had been waiting for this scene to happen. Fuck. Fang Rui clenched his teeth. He wasn't surprised by the ambush. But his opponents had truly been cunning. When they saw that Fang Rui had been caught in their trap, they didn't immediately attack. Instead, they held their positions and waited. They hadn't waiting for Fang Rui to move, but for Sumu Chung and Qiao Yivan to move. They were waiting for those two to move farther and farther away. As for Fang Rui, until he was 100% sure that he was ambushed, he couldn't ask them for help. If it turned out that there was no ambush, a false alarm would destroy Sumu Chung's and Qiao Yifan's pace. And now the ambush had come. XXX. Fang Rui had his coordinates already typed into the chat. When he saw Du Ming and Lu Boyuan arrive, pincering him from the front and the rear, he immediately pressed enter. In front was Lu Boyuan's chaotic cloudy mountain. Behind was Du Ming's moon luring frost. Fang Rui didn't hesitate. He immediately turned around and charged at moon luring frost. The exit behind him was farther away than the exit in front, but in this narrow space, blade masters were easier to fight against than grapplers. As a grappler, all Lu Boyuan need to do was activate reinforced iron bones, walk over, and grab him. Fang Rui didn't think he had any chance of getting past him. On the other hand, blade masters had their movements restricted by the narrow space. Many of their skills couldn't be used. Fang Rui could take advantage of that. Charge. Boundless Sea sprinted towards moon luring frost. His palms were already gathering chi, but as moon luring frost fell, his hands grasped his sword, and his gaze directed at Boundless Sea. Downwind sword slash. A sharp sword light fell. Du Ming knew that this terrain was unfavorable for his class. He knew that Fang Rui would certainly choose to get past him. As soon as he broke the window and leapt out, he had started his attack. The sword light from the powerful downwind sword slash filled the entire path. There was no escaping it. End chapter.